Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Milford High School for tonight's varsity boys basketball contest between the Lakeland Eagles and the Milford Mavericks. Let's go to the starting lineups right off the bat. Starting off for Lakeland, number 1, sophomore guard, Blake Hyman. Junior guard, number 14, Chris Dukic. Sophomore guard, number 23, Mike Fugate. Senior forward, number 5, Luke Hyman. And junior forward, number 35, Kyle McNulty. Once again, the Eagles are coached by Bob Brugger. And our starting lineups for the Milford Mavericks tonight. Number 2, guard, Steve Fueling. Number 3, junior guard, Chad Cox. Sophomore guard, number 22, Art Dramanis. A junior forward, number 1, Jordan Kidd. And senior forward, number 33, Mike Petrucci. Milford, coached by the Hall of Fame coach, Don Palmer. Hi, welcome to Friday Night Basketball. My name is Mike Head. I'll be doing play-by-play tonight for you. I'm joined by Mike Leatham for the color analysis of the game. Mike, good evening.
Good evening, Mike. Really excited to be here for tonight's game. Should be loaded with action tonight.
Absolutely. You know, the rivalry is renewed yet again. A little background on the teams. If you want to talk about Lakeland for a second.
Lakeland's doing pretty well this year, KVC-wise. They're coming in with a 6-3 clip, which is good for second in the league. They are 10-4 overall, coming off a 62-58 win against Heartland last Tuesday.
And Milford is currently 4-10 overall, 3-6 in the league, but they do have back-to-back wins in the KVC, an overtime win last Friday versus Novi, and a one-point win versus Howell on Tuesday, during which senior forward Mike Petrucci sank a free throw with 1 second left in the game. And we're off. Jump ball goes to Lakeland. Milford comes out in a man-to-man defense.
Well, obviously, Mike, with both of these teams, we'll see kind of a deliberate pace at times. Both coaches like to make sure they're getting good shots and the shots they want. So early on, it could be, they're just feeling each other out, trying to get good shots and good looks at the basket.
The history in this rivalry is that it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be close to the end. The earlier matchup this season has actually bucked the trend there. In that game, Lakeland got out to a commanding lead early on and really just had control of the game the entire game with a final victory of 45-30. Actually, it was the first time in several years that the home team won the contest. So we'll see now if Milford can respond and continue that new trend. And the first bucket of the game goes to number 33, Mike Petrucci for Milford.
He's a powerful low-post threat, great moves, great athlete, obviously, great football player, going to college to play at Central Michigan, I believe.
You are correct.
So it's going to be a handful for the Eagle post players all night long.
And the sophomore guard for Lakeland, number 1, Blake Hyman, a true attacker and slasher to the basket, draws the foul on number 3, Chad Cox. He'll be on the line for 2. And the first one's good. Once again, we welcome our audience watching this game on the internet. If you're watching, you know that Lakeland is going right to left across your screen, and Milford will be going left to right in the first half. Lakeland's going to come out and pressure the ball pretty much throughout the entire game. I was in practice the other day with Coach Brugger, and one of the things he kept emphasizing to his team was that he felt his team was a little bit deeper. If they just kept pushing the ball on the court and pressuring the ball, that they would eventually be able to outlast the shorter Milford bench.
As you say that, Lakeland already brings in their first guard off the bench, senior number 11, Andre Calamai, and he does a fantastic job as an on-the-ball defender, does a great job for Coach Brugger.
And there you see Lakeland's other sophomore guard, 23, Mike Fugate, just drive coast to coast and finish.
I'll tell you, Mike, those two guards, the two sophomores for Lakeland, are just a joy to watch. Lots of energy, and they really know how to play the game.
Textbook jump trap there, and then interception by Blake Hyman. Didn't finish the layup, but his big brother, Luke, was there to pick up after him. I'm sure he doesn't do that too often in the household, but on the court, he's there for him. See, pressuring the ball yet again.
This is something Milford's going to have to handle, get their own tempo into this game. They definitely don't want this game played in the 40s. They want this game under 40 and try to slow it down a little bit.
And once again, the ball pressure creates another turnover. And the early timeout is called by Coach Palmer. Never one to hesitate about calling a timeout early on in the game. If he sees something he doesn't like, or if the opponent's getting early momentum, he's going to call that timeout right away. And this one's pretty early in the game. Just over 2 minutes into it.
And I think that's a great move, even though they're at home and they really have the home crowd and everything. I just think he's got to settle down his kids, tell them to relax a little bit, make sure that you're making strong passes, you're not floating the ball, and make sure you get the ball over half court and make sure they're running what they want to run on offense. So it's a great timeout, and like you said, he's Coach Palmer, he's a Hall of Famer. It's not his first tough rivalry game that he's been through, so.
Milford comes out with some pressure of their own now, picking up their full court man-to-man. And Coach Brugger for Lakeland decides to call a timeout as well. Didn't like that series of events on the court right after that timeout.
Well, looks like we already have some early moves in this chess match, and great move by Coach Palmer to change up his defense a little bit out of the timeout. Expect to see something different even after this timeout. So you can expect Milford to just change things up, keep Lakeland on their toes, keep them uncomfortable on the court, and try to really confuse their young guards.
Those of you who don't know, the coach for Lakeland, Bob Brugger, started off his coaching career in the Huron Valley District as the freshman boys coach here at Milford. So he and Palmer are well aware of each other's techniques, strategies, strengths, and weaknesses. And it's always neat to have one of those coaching matchups. And an early change you saw right there out of that timeout was Brugger had junior guard Chris Duchik kind of bring up the ball and act as the point guard in that situation and take the normal point guard Fugate off the ball.
I think what Coach Brugger might want to try to do is try to get Mike Fugate in the post a little bit against some smaller guards. And he's pretty crafty in the post, and hopefully they can get some easy looks out of that.
And that's number 5, Steve Wykes, with the three-pointer. In the earlier matchup this year, when Milford was struggling to score, he had 3 long-range bombs in the late second quarter, early third quarter. He is a shooter from any distance.
I guess you could say he was lighting up the hibachi that night.
Yes, indeed he was.
Oh,
that was a tough call, but that one goes against number 1, Blake Hyman, as Petrucci was going in for the layup.
Personal foul on number 1, Blake Hyman. That's his first, team's first. Substitution, 10, Cunningham, section.
Really surprised they actually called that foul on the floor. I thought Petrucci had a good look at the basket, had a clean drive, and it's tough.
That foul goes on Duchik for Lakeland. That's his first.
Well, if Lakeland's guards continue to pick up these fouls early in the game, then they'll really test that idea that Coach Brugger thinks he's a little bit more of a deep team than Milford is. So we'll see how that plays out as the game goes on.
That's another blocking call on Dukic there. That's a tough call. That's 2 quick ones.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know if I agree with the second one. The first one maybe, okay, but really he wasn't trying to make contact. He was trying to get away from it a little bit. That's a tough call in a pretty physical matchup.
He's going to have to take a seat for now, and Ian Hill comes in, number 4. He's a senior guard. And that's number 1, Jordan Kidd on the layup. Nice little up fake move on the baseline, then finished at the basket.
It's going to be a little bit of adjustment period for Lakeland. Dukic, who's now sitting with 2 fouls, usually plays a good majority of the game and does a lot of good things on the court for Lakeland, so they're going to have to deal without his presence now for a while.
Blake Hyman's shot from the side is off. And that's Matt Cunningham with the basket. That's a 7-0 run now for Milford after Lakeland's 5-0 run. Jordan Kidd drew the charge there on Fugate right about half court. Berger's not happy right now. It seems like all the calls are going against him.
And that's tough, especially with a younger team. They're going to have to weather the storm and learn to deal with those calls and not get frustrated and just play the game.
Andre Calamine with a nice steal there. Difficult bounce pass in traffic, but it's going to stay Lakeland's ball. Saw in that last possession for Milford, Lakeland jump trap, but Milford did a nice job reversing the ball. They had a wide open 3. That's one of the things you're going to give up if you're a jump trapping team, and on that occasion it didn't fall for the Mavericks. Luke Hyman on the shot, a little short. Petrucci with the rebound, and Petrucci has no problem bringing the ball all the way up the court either. And he finished there.
He is one heck of an athlete, going coast to coast, gets the big board, goes all the way down and finishes. Just a great, exceptional athlete on the court.
Oh, nice dime there by Fugate, and Ian Hill missed the bunny. Looks like maybe a foul called on the floor. I think the foul was called.
Looks like it was called on Calamai for Lakeland. So the fouls are quickly mounting for the Eagles.
Some confusion on the court right now.
One thing I would have liked to see there is just the refs get together and figure out what was going on, because it looked like everyone was confused. No answers.
Sub in for Lakeland now is senior forward Andy Govan, number 53. He's in for McNulty. Also, they got sophomore guard number 3, Matt Acitelli, in to spell Fugate. Oh, I'm sorry, Fugate's still out there.
This is the depth that Coach Brugger was talking about. We're going to see how it works even this early in the game.
And a traveling call there. Looks like both teams are trying to figure out what kind of game the referee's going to call here. And I've had a couple looks by the players at the refs, not sure what call or why. You know, just needs to get into a rhythm. Nice little drop-off pass there from Fugate to Luke Hyman, who puts in a little 5-foot baseline jumper. The score is now 11-7 Milford. We are just about the 2-minute mark left in the first quarter.
One thing I like so far is that Coach Palmer has 33 Petrucci actually bringing the ball up, and that's going to force one of Lakeland's bigs to have to guard him, which takes a little bit away from their ball pressure and their jump trapping and stuff like that.
That was Wykes on the three-point shot there. Looked good out of the hand, but that one didn't fall for him. Lakeland now on offense. Oh, nice between the legs dribble there, moved by Blake Hyman. Call on the floor, foul against Milford. Number 5, Wykes.
Milford foul on number 5. That's Steve White. That's his first.
It's his first foul. And the big sophomore guard steps up for the big basket. That's Matt Acitelli with a jumper on the inbounds play. 11-9, Milford up.
That's definitely no surprise. I've talked to Coach Brugger on many occasions, and he said one of the reasons he kept Matt Acitelli on his team this year, despite being a sophomore, was he's probably the purest shooter that he has on the team.
Jordan Kidd on the drive and stop and pop off the rim. Govan with the rebound for Lakeland. Oh, nice little move there by Fugate. He's a crafty little player, slides, got moves well beyond his years.
Definitely knows the game really well.
And that's a 6-0 run now for Lakeland. We are down under 30 seconds now. Milford's probably playing for the last shot. It's very custom for them. 11-11, tie game right now. Just running a little 3-guard weave at the top of the key. Down to 10 seconds now. Kicks it out to Wicks in the corner. Back to Kidd. Kidd drives the lane, throws up the left-hand layup. No good. There's still time on the clock. Fugate driving. Throws it in, and it gets in under the buzzer.
Wow. That was unbelievable. And I can guarantee you right now, Coach Palmer is not happy about how early that shot was taken.
Exactly. He left maybe only about 4 seconds after the rebound, but for a guy as quick as Fugate, he covered the floor without too much of a problem and then put in a nice little kind of left-handed. It was a left-handed shot, but he took it with his right hand, but he just got it under the defender's arm.
Very crafty player, knows how to get to the basket and finish. Now, what do you think Coach Brugger is saying to his team right now?
Well, he knows that the first quarter is a game about, in the rival game, it's just all about motion. You got to settle in routine. He's complimenting the players off the bench for kind of stepping up and just doing little things right. And says, all right, now let's get into our game plan now. I'm pretty sure both coaches said first quarter was just going to be one of those things where let's get through it without too much damage. Now let's go into our game plan.
Definitely agree, and I think, even though the score's a little higher than Coach Palmer might want it to be, I think he's pretty excited about, number one, Chris Dukic being out of the game for a little while. He might have to sit probably the rest of the half, and that's a big part of what Lakeland does on the court. And a couple of the other kids have a foul early on, so I think that's a plus for the Milford side right now.
That was a quarter of runs. Milford scored one, then the first basket, then Lakeland scored 5 in a row. Then Milford scored 7 in a row, and now Lakeland has scored 8 in a row. It's a game of runs right now.
I definitely expect to see, if Milford can get a little bit more deliberate in the half court, I definitely expect to see it. Great hustle there by Jordan Kidd.
Now, Lakeland's kind of in a matchup zone. It looks like a zone, but there's some definite man-to-man rules going on here. All right, that's Wyke's third shot. He's 1 for 3 from the arc so far. Oh, another good dime by Fugate.
Oh.
That was a nice one-handed pass. He made that from about 30 feet away from the basket. Found Blake on the block. Called the foul on the ground against number 10. That's Cunningham, his first, team fourth. Number 22, Art Germanis is back in for Milford.
Awful lot of one-on-one there. I'm sure they wanted a little bit more involvement
Again,
with the
Petrucci
team.
with the rebound, going all the way length of the court. Just couldn't finish that one.
Substitution number 12, Kirk Catchpole checks in.
Subbing in for Milford, number 12, Kirk Catchpole. Lakeland up 13-11. 6:45 left in the second quarter.
Lakeland's definitely trying to extend their pressure out on the guards right now, trying to get a little bit more pressure on those guys.
Petrucci tried to drive there. That shot was blocked, but he got it right back. Unfazed by the block.
This has already been almost a 40-second possession for Milford, so this is definitely good for their game plan.
That's another offensive board for Milford, and this one results in a shooting foul. That was Kidd on the offensive board and then made a strong move to the basket. I think he even shot that one left-handed as he was falling down. Well, the referees are discussing this.
And here comes Chris Dukic is going to actually check back into the game for Lakeland. So Coach Brugger is going to take a little bit of a chance, a little bit of a gamble here early on, sensing maybe his team needs a little bit of a boost.
That foul's on Andy Govan, his first foul. That's the team 6. Kidd at the line for 2 shots. Misses the first shot.
Substitution for Lakeland, 14, Chris Dugan checks back in.
And he'll make the second one. 13-12, Lakeland ahead. Just under the 6-minute mark.
A bit of full court pressure here for Milford.
This foul is going to go against number 12, it looks like.
The officials for tonight's game are definitely not letting it get too physical down low. Anytime someone's posting up, they're keeping it pretty tight down low. So that's going to be something interesting to watch as the game goes on.
Lots of movements, cuts, and Lakeland's offense go screen the ball. That's a lot of their offense. Be careful, don't get a bad foul here, Lakeland. There we go. Once again, Petrucci bringing the ball up.
And I really like that move by Milford. I think it's a great strategy to keep those guards, the pesky Lakeland guards, off your ball handlers. Keeps them a little bit more fresh to handle, the game later on.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
They're going to call goaltending there against Luke Hyman.
Luke Hyman believes that it was touched before he got to it, so if that was the case, then it was fair game, but the outside official obviously saw it otherwise.
Tell you what, though, I'm sure every high school ball player would love to have a goaltending called against him because that's basically saying, I got up above the rim.
I've definitely never been able to say that, Mike.
No, you haven't. Hyman battling hard under the basket. And it looks like Duke just got his third foul.
Trouble here for Lakeland. Those are all tough calls right now. He wasn't being overly aggressive, but that's a tough one that far away from the basket.
That's his nature. He's a very physical, defensive-oriented person, and it just seems to be that this game is not going to be one that caters to his style. And sometimes that happens for players. You just get a game where it's, for whatever reason, it's not going to go your way. And that seems to be the case right now for Chris. No fault of his.
Well, the important thing is that one of the other coaches on the bench or some of his teammates pick him up and make sure he's just focused for that second half. A lot of time left for him to play in the second half and really make his impact on this game.
Yeah, that was a one-on-one opportunity for Kidd, and he missed the front end of that. There's been a couple missed free throw opportunities for Milford. Good hustle there by Kidd, but then a turnover afterwards. Be Lakeland ball.
And I'm looking down on the sidelines, and even though Milford just had, turned the ball over, you see Coach Palmer applauding his squad for how hard they were working right there and all the hustle and effort.
Score right now as we go under just going to the 4-minute mark is Milford 14, Lakeland 13. McNulty back in for Lakeland. A drive by Blake Hyman, and the foul is called on number 12, Kirk Ketchpole.
That's one thing I think Lakeland just needs to get going a little bit more is just going to the basket. I think their guards, that's their strengths. They're not really a great outside shooting team. Don't shoot a lot of threes, really like to attack the basket. So between Hyman and Dukic and Fugate, I think that's something they need to focus on.
But Blake missed both free throws, and it's going to be Milford's ball here. Kidd throws it back to Petrucci, who takes the three-point shot. Offensive board goes to Milford, but he missed the 4-footer there. Lakeland ball. Fugate brings it up and controls the offense. Here goes Blake attacking again. And that foul goes against Blake Hyman. It's a second foul. Well, just like you were saying, attack the basket. You're going to get a charge every now and then, though.
That was a tough one. That was a tough one. I thought he might have been shuffling his feet a little bit, but here it comes, and they'll get it right back here.
And for Lakeland, Kyle McNulty drew that charge that time. That was a foul against number 22, Art Demanis. It's tough to get a rhythm in this game. Lots of whistles.
Yeah, and that's one thing you don't want to see in a much anticipated matchup. You want to see free-flowing game. That's the great part about basketball. And right now it's kind of getting bogged down with a lot of whistles.
Luke Hyman with a jumper there. Like 2 or 3 of his other shots, it rolled around the rim, had a chance, but that one didn't fall for him. Andre Kalamai back in the game, so is Ian Hill for Lakeland. Good little baseline move by Catchpole. And he sinks the 12-footer.
It's like Milford's starting to make a little bit of a run for themselves now.
Yeah, it's 16-13 Milford. 2.5 minutes left in the half. Dangerous pass. In fact, think about it now. We're about 6 minutes into this quarter, and Lakeland has not scored. Lots of traffic under the paint, maybe some contact, but the refs let that one go. Lakeland with the ball, under 2 minutes left in the half.
Well, the great adjustment I think Milford's made here is that they're really packing it into the middle a little bit more defensively. They know Lakeland's not really going to shoot the outside jumper as much. They want to go to the basket. Playing great help side defense really cuts down on those drives to the basket.
Nice strong move to the hoops there by Kalamai. That's Lakeland's first points of the quarter, and we are at the 1:30 mark. So
definitely more of Milford's style here.
It almost looks like Lakeland's kind of pulled back the reins on their defensive pressure, too. I think they've been burned a couple times on the foul calls now, so they've kind of settled in now and playing a little softer. A travel call on Milford.